A new audit has discovered another glitch in the state corrections department. The key to solving unsolved murders, rapes, and other crimes may have been locked up in state prisons for years, but nobody realized it until very recently. News 13's Crystal Gutierrez is in the Newsplex with that. Crystal?
Now, Dick, the state prison system failed to adhere to a law passed in 1997, which requires that DNA be collected from all inmates convicted of felony crimes. Now, after discovering the error a few weeks ago, they have now collected DNA from nearly 140 inmates that had not been touched.
It was alarming.
Corrections Secretary Greg Marcantel says what started as a handful of inmates jumped to 138 convicted felons whose DNA had not been collected and put into a national database as required by state law. But that's not the only reason this glitch is a big deal.
It's a public safety issue, and that's really the most important driver here.
The crimes the inmates are convicted of run the gamut, from trafficking drugs to DWI to rape and even murder. One inmate has been locked up since the 1960s for an out-of-state murder, and his DNA was not on file. The big question is, could any of the convicted felons be linked to other crimes? At this time, nobody knows. Here's what sparked the audit. Santa Fe Police cold case detectives were looking at a group of inmates who fit the profile of a man who raped and murdered 2 women in 1985. But when they tried to test the suspect's DNA against prison inmates, 5 did not have DNA samples on file. Detectives from across the state and even across the country submit DNA from crime scenes every month looking to get a match.
The likelihood of reoffending is still high for offenders.
Secretary Marcantel says that's the reason once the mistake was found, crews were sent out to state prisons across the state to collect the missing DNA. DNA from all but 3 are in the system, giving detectives a new batch of possible suspects to test against.
If you have a case that you're concerned and you think it's worth it, then resubmit it in.
Now, Secretary Marcantel says since he's taken office, every new inmate has had their DNA collected. The nearly 140 inmates discovered in the audit had fallen through the cracks since 1997. We're told about 60% of those inmates were in prison before the law went into effect. Back to you.
All right, Crystal. Marcantel says of the 3 inmates who refused to give DNA samples, corrections will get court orders to take them.